the number one thing that we always as leaders want to protect is our confidence.
Yeah.
When we lose confidence, we lose faith in our abilities and in our ability to move forward. When we're feeling overwhelmed, when we're feeling overstretched, we just want to leave you with these 5 key things. Get ready for the next iteration of you on your path to becoming wealthy. On this show, you'll get the insider's view on wealth creation, the class none of us got taught in school, with my co-host, daughter, and beginning investor, Sophia Bosch. And now, let's get started. Welcome to Becoming Wealthy. I'm your host, Michelle Bosch, and I have my co-host,
Sophia Bosch.
And this is a mom and daughter duo, 16-year-old teenager that is here with me today to talk to you guys about overwhelm. But overwhelm doesn't happen just amongst teenagers, Sophia.
Yeah.
It also happens amongst adults. And I'm going to tell you about a point in my life where I felt a little bit overwhelmed because I felt like I didn't quite have all the skill sets, that I didn't have quite the time and just the experience to step into this new role that I was stepping into.
Right.
And that's quite frankly when I decided to step in to the CEO position of the Land Profit Generator, coaching company. I knew that we needed to do some reorganization of our team. I knew that we needed to really understand marketing and sales. That is a department in the company that when I basically stepped into that
was
role
almost non-existent.
Was not existent, and I was quite overwhelmed. I was anxious about the future of the company, about my abilities to actually perform and really help us navigate through some of the most difficult, challenging times like COVID was, for a lot of business owners. And I know that you have had a similar situation lately. Can you tell us about a few weeks back what happened?
Okay, so a few weeks back, I was stressed out of my mind. I was super anxious because I had too much stuff going on. I said yes to too many things, which I usually don't have that problem because I usually feel like I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
But now I still kind of feel that way, but I realize I'm overworking myself. And I had too much stuff going on, and I started to cry. It was not good. I don't want to talk about it, but I'm willing to talk about it on this podcast. But
thank you so much for, being vulnerable and being okay with being vulnerable, with me and with whoever else is listening, because this is not something that just happens to a teenager that just started sophomore year, that just started at LandBiz,
right,
that actually just started a podcast, but that has a bunch of other extracurriculars happening in your life. And including now also you decided to become also a leader for a nonprofit. And so there was a lot of things that happened coming from a summer where you hadn't done, a whole lot, except for your land biz.
Honestly, I needed that though.
So
I wouldn't be as far as I would right now if I didn't take that time to rest. But this would have happened earlier, but still.
Yeah, but
it would have happened.
Exactly. But what I'm trying to say is that for us adults, when we step into something new, like you just stepped into a new year of high school and into new things, and ventures and projects and so on and so forth, it's deemed to happen that we feel overstretched, that we feel a little bit overwhelmed, and that we feel uncertain and anxious about the future. And I think one of the very first things that, we both said, mom and dad said, was well, welcome to the world of grown-ups and of entrepreneurship and of leadership in general, and part of leading others begins with leading ourselves, and we cannot lead others if we are feeling overwhelmed and overstretched. So our very first thing with you was
well, first of all, I have so much stuff going on. For example, full-time student. I added a class. I added a marketing class that is kicking my butt.
So instead of 5 classes, you have 6 classes.
No, instead of 6, I have 7.
So you have 7 classes, okay.
7, which is unusual for my school.
What is the usual in your school?
Usually it's 5 plus an elective. I'm taking 5 plus an elective plus another class.
Okay. But you felt last year you were underwhelmed.
I was underwhelmed, but it also doesn't help that my chemistry class has been kicking my butt also.
Okay.
I'm not that good at chemistry.
Okay.
What else? I have so much stuff again.
You had the Lambis?
I have the land biz, which I was putting off for so long, and that also created so much stress that I didn't even want to look there.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, I'm a leader for a campaign for LLS, which is a nonprofit organization, Leukemia Lymphoma Society. I'm running a campaign. I have climbing, I have German, I have piano, I have what else? This podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much. Plus, having a social life,
which is important when you're 16 years
yeah.
old and you just started driving. You had driving school.
Oh
also.
My God!
You had driving lessons
school.
Because that was right before you were ready to get, your driver's license. So you had driving lessons as well. We also had the visit from, our very good friend Natalie here, and you wanted to be there for her as well. And so
it was a total mess. I felt like there were not enough hours in the day.
Exactly.
To get it done, and I just kept pushing it off. There's still some things that I haven't done, but we're not going to talk about that.
We will. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to help you basically.
I'll do that this weekend.
Yeah, help you kind of pull your head out of the undercurrent of anxiety and overwhelm. Yeah, and actually have a moment to take a breather, lift our heads up.
Yeah.
Right. And actually look at what we have going and then reorganize and reprioritize, because that's one of the very first things that we did. And what we noticed, both mom and dad, myself and dad, was that you were not getting enough sleep, and you were going to bed very late.
I was skipping practices.
Yeah, and that you were going to bed very late because you were watching sometimes maybe Netflix, sometimes spending time on TikTok, sometimes...
Yeah, because I didn't have time during the rest of the day, so I want to, catch up, but it's,
Yeah, texting with friends.
Or, have some time for myself, but that ends up being late in the night.
Yeah, exactly, and that is important. And so the very first thing that we said to you was, number 1 was, Sophia, we noticed that you're going to bed really, really late, and the ability for us to cope with the stresses of daily life, whether you're a leader, whether you have a lot of things going on in your life or not, the foundation of our well-being and our ability to handle things is having enough sleep and enough rest so that we can tackle the day, right? That's number 1. So the very first thing that we did is we prioritize sleep, and
it's been getting better.
It has been getting better, and in order to prioritize sleep so that you also wouldn't be until really late at night, sometimes also working on homework that was difficult to you because you were having trouble, for example, in chemistry, we asked for help. So one of the very first things was step number 1, we prioritize sleep.
Yeah.
Step number 2, we looked for a chemistry tutor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it helped. If not, I would have probably failed that test. But if I got a B, so that's good enough for me right now.
But remember when you came back with a B, you were like, oh my gosh, I worked so hard and we got this tutor and I have an 89%. And what was our very first thing that we said? Sophia, put things into perspective. when we're out there in the real world,
you
an
mean
89 in chemistry when you're in 10th grade is not going to matter. No person that is recruiting,
Plus, I can still fix it. It's just the end of the first quarter.
It's just the end of the first quarter. You can bounce back. You have done that in the past, we know, in other subjects,
math.
right? Exactly.
That was a struggle.
So you were able to look at something in the past where you had struggled and overcame, and you gained some confidence by looking at the past things that you have done where you have actually gone on an upward trajectory after having a little bit of a struggle in the beginning. So we reminded you of that as well. We also started looking at all your extracurriculars, and what did we do with for example, with piano?
Oh, piano. So I was working on this really long piece. It's like a
Very difficult, yeah.
It's like Tchaikovsky or whatever. It's like 5 pages, if you know what that is. I was not even halfway through. The recital is in 2 months. That's not gonna happen.
Okay.
Especially with the little time that I have to practice already.
Yeah.
It's not bad. So I decided, me and my piano teacher decided to choose a different piece.
Yeah.
A little easier, but one that's still like, it still helped me with my skills or like refine my skills, I guess. Yeah. But we picked an easier piece so I can participate in the recital and feel confident
now
in my abilities.
Now we suggested that you advocate for yourself with the piano teacher. But while you were in that moment of overwhelm, did that idea come to mind that you could actually ask for that, and therefore when we're in the middle of it, we're not able to sometimes see
tunnel
that
vision.
Exactly. You have tunnel vision, and you're basically stuck, like I said earlier, in the undercurrent of just the overwhelm. And it's important to kind of like have a moment of like, okay, stop everything that I'm doing. Let me reset. Let me take a look back or step back and look at all the things that I can do. And sometimes it requires that we look for help. We ask for help.
Yeah.
You asked us, can you guys help me figure out what else I can do in order to, not feel this way? So that was the third thing that we asked, or the second thing that we asked was that. What about the third? The third request was, okay, talk to your German.
So we're making German classes less frequent.
Okay, so we changed the frequency of those and also the length of the class, I believe. Or
I don't know.
You okay? So I think
I don't know.
At least the frequency you did.
Yeah.
And instead of doing,
I think
what were
it's
you doing?
twice a month instead of
Every week.
every week.
Okay, sounds good. Because and why
Twice a month or once a month? I'm not sure.
And what did we say? We want you to be able to speak German, not necessarily to go and write a thesis at a PhD level in the university. We want you
I don't
to have,
think that's
exactly. We said we want you to learn German for the fact that we would love for you to continue having
communicate
connection
with my little cousin, with my
with your family.
grandparents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you had lost perspective of the fact that we're not asking you to learn German to write a PhD level thesis, but that it's supposed to be able to help you connect with your loved ones. And whether you, for a short period of time of maybe 2-3 months, have a less frequent classes is not going to really affect that overall ability at the end of the day to do that. So that was the third thing that we did. The fourth thing that we did was with chemistry. We're like, okay, chemistry, we recognize that is not necessarily a strength at this point.
I think we already,
And you looked for a tutor.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you already had help from her in the past, in years past in a different subject. So it was a matter of just reconnecting with her. You have the resource at your fingertips. She's actually on,
Yeah, I already had her contact.
You already had your contact. It was a reminder that there are people out there that really care about me because Miss Jessie loves you, right?
I love
and
her.
that has the ability and capability to help you not just, in math, but also in chemistry and in other subjects as well. And sometimes we forget about this thing, the fact that we have a network of people that we can, ask for help. Okay, so that was the next thing. And you still, you came ahead. Yeah, it's not A plus like you would normally have. But
well, I tried my hardest to get that. But
exactly, and we're in an upward progression, right? So that was the next thing. So then the fifth thing that we did in our land business, because you had an avalanche of incoming requests, offer requests, for which you needed to do due diligence, right?
Yeah, even though that seems like a good thing, but once you send thousands of mail, that's gonna come pretty fast.
Yeah.
And it's still sitting there. I need to do it this weekend.
Yeah. So, but that was one thing. But then you requested help.
But I wanted help on marketing and selling the properties. So I'm gonna still do 1 out of the 5 just so I can learn.
Exactly.
But the other 4, I'm giving it to someone else to
JV. So basically, we told you there's the possibility within our coaching program for our students to JV with our coaches and to basically seek help from somebody that has already quite a bit of experience selling a property. And so you JV with, master coaches John and Crystal, and they're going to help you sell 4 out of the 5 properties. You also delegated.
I'd rather have half, or what is it, 50-50?
Well, no, we basically gave you the example that sometimes it is better to have a smaller percentage, of a deal versus no deal, than having 100% of possibly a no deal, because if it doesn't, if you don't get the help, if you don't JV or if you don't delegate and outsource,
it's just gonna sit there, and then there's gonna be nothing.
Exactly, it's gonna cut into your profits, which we wanted you to understand and we wanted you to experience and feel, because it would have been very easy for us. Yeah, it would have been very easy for mom and dad to say, hey, take over, we'll take over, we're gonna sell them for you. But then you don't have the experience of knowing what it feels to have to earn a little bit less in your profits, because you've had to basically JV with someone else. So we wanted you to JV with someone.
Which is fine.
Exactly.
It's fun.
It is totally fine. So now all 5 deals are going to be happening. You're going to be earning perhaps a little bit less in profits.
That's okay.
But
I have no bills to pay, thank you.
Yeah, by the way. Exactly. The only bill to pay that you have is the loan
to pay you back
for the mailings.
Yeah, but still.
But we already calculated that is going to be taken care of with even the lower profits from JVing. You're still going to be able to take care of that, and you'll still have enough money to reinvest into your business and continue your mailings and possibly continue hiring somebody to help you with all the due diligence, right? So that you can do all that comping much easier. Yeah?
That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So the moral of the story, for anyone that is listening or that is watching, is that sometimes we forget, number one, that we have access to a network of people that can help us, that can either give us perspective, that can give us the opportunity to reprioritize our time, that could give us the opportunity to perhaps delegate some of the things that we have, going on on our plate, and that we forget that the basis of our ability to cope and our ability to sometimes even gain that perspective requires that we be having really good sleep and rest and prioritizing our health and our well-being, and that it requires exactly that we look at, okay, where am I cutting corners on my well-being and in my health that are not allowing me to really see the big picture, and have perspective. So once we prioritize all of that, now how do you feel about your piece right now for piano, for example?
Well, I need to learn it, but so far, I looked at it yesterday, and it seems much easier, much better.
Yeah,
doable.
Exactly, and that's the thing. The very first thing
I'd rather do something easier, but to the best of my ability, than do something really hard halfway.
Exactly. Especially because the number one thing that we always as leaders want to protect is our confidence.
Yeah.
When we lose confidence, we lose faith in our abilities and in our ability to move forward. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so right now you're moving forward towards recital, which is coming up, in December, but you're moving forward now with a sense of like, okay, I looked at the piece, I can do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. For me,
because I got to a part in the music, there is no white on that paper. There's just so many black notes. Like it's not like it's scary that
but the new one is much better,
yeah,
right?
The new one. I'm still gonna go back to that old one.
Yeah, exactly.
It up. Finish what I started, but
okay.
Yeah.
So when we're feeling overwhelmed, when we're feeling overstretched, we just want to leave you with these 5 key things. Prioritize sleep, exercise, nutrition, your well-being. Health, absolutely. Number 2, adjust maybe the frequency of the things that you're doing, That's what we did with one of our, with one of her extracurriculars. Number 2, maybe it's advocating on your behalf, for yourself. Advocate for yourself with either, your boss or whoever your commitments are with, to perhaps deliver on something on a much lower scope that can allow you to still continue developing your skills, but still feel like confident about being able to complete, the job that you have been assigned. Number 4, ask for help. Ask for help. Help is already there within our network. And number 5, sometimes we need to, as leaders and as business owners, decide whether we're going to take on everything ourselves, or if it's okay to, share in a little bit of profits, but therefore get certain things moving forward in our businesses by bringing in team, by JVing with somebody. JV is nothing more than a joint venture, where you're splitting up the profits with someone else that already has the skill set, the genius zone to sell, and that can basically help you move forward with that, while you still keep one of the deals where you're going to be selling yourself, so that you have the understanding, but it helps you propel you forward, at least for that period of time where you're feeling overwhelmed, and you can kind of like dig yourself out, from the hole kind of thing. And so how do you feel now, Sophia?
I feel much better. Still feel a little bit, but I just have to work hard to get that all done.
Yeah, so we're gonna get it done. So with that, if you are experiencing overwhelm, let us know how we can assist you. You can join our Becoming Wealthy community in Facebook called Becoming Wealthy. We would love to have you there, continue the discussion, and give you the opportunity basically to connect with Sophia and myself in helping you, in adjusting, and maybe, sharing a little bit of the wisdom and knowledge that we both have as a 16-year-old and as a CEO of 2 8-figure businesses, on how to get out of overwhelm. Yeah, if that's what you're feeling. If you liked and enjoyed today's episode, please give us a 5-star review and share with an important woman in your life. And with that, thank you guys for listening, and we will be with you on the next episode of Becoming Wealthy.